Good morning. Today is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. This is the Urban Hope Refuge Morning Devotions. We are continuing our reading today from the 2025 Daily Bible Reading Guide published by the American Bible Society. For the month of September, we are reading under the sub-theme of our annual theme, God's Strengthening Word, Learning from Biblical Teachings. I know that on yesterday I said that Vincent, Lady Agnes Vincent would be on today. Lady Vincent will be on Monday and finishing up with Lady Gilbert for the month of September, but you got me today. Um, and I am reading from Exodus chapter 7, verses 1 through 25 in the New Living Translation. Exodus chapter 7, verses 1 through 25. Verse 1. A good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume, and the day you die is better than the day you were born. Better to spend your time at funerals than at parties. After all, everyone dies, so the living should take this to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us. A wise person thinks a lot about death, while a fool thinks only about having a good time. Better to be criticized by a wise person than to be praised by a fool. A fool's laughter is quickly gone, like thorns crackling in a fire. This also is meaningless. Extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart. Finishing is better than starting. Patience is better than pride. Control your temper, for anger labels you a fool. Don't long for the good old days. This is not wise. Wisdom is even better when you have money. Both are benefits as you go through life. Wisdom and money can get you almost anything, but only wisdom can save your life. Accept the way God does things, for who can straighten out what He has made crooked? Enjoy prosperity while you can, but when hard times strike, realize that both come from God. Remember that nothing is certain in this life. I have seen everything in this meaningless life, including the death of good young people and the long life of wicked people. So don't be too good or too wise. Why destroy yourself? On the other hand, don't be too wicked either. Don't be a fool. Why die before your time? Pay attention to these instructions. For anyone who fears God will avoid both extremes. One wise person is stronger than 10 leading citizens of a town. Not a single person on earth is always good and never sins. Don't eavesdrop on others. You may hear your servant curse you. For you know how often you yourself have cursed others. I have always tried my best to let wisdom guide my thoughts and actions. I said to myself, I am determined to be wise, but it didn't work. Wisdom is always distant and difficult to find. I searched everywhere, determined to find wisdom and to understand the reason for things. I was determined to prove to myself that wickedness is stupid and that foolishness is madness. This concludes our reading for today of Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verses 1 through 25. Excuse me. Well, as we did the introduction on yesterday to the book of Ecclesiastes, we are continuing the teacher's reflection, the preacher's reflections on wisdom, on life, and human limitations. This chapter contrasts superficial pleasures with deep reflection, the limits of human understanding with the value of fearing God, and the reality of sin with the pursuit of wisdom. I hardly need to have any commentary on the 7th chapter that I just read, because it could not be more clear than what we have already heard. And as I prepared for this and as I read it, I chuckled to myself because I could see myself in a lot of what I was reading. I could reflect on my own life and the encounters that I have had in life that gave me that contrast of the superficial and the wise. So verses 1 through 6 talks about the value of sobriety over pleasure. And it tells us that a good reputation, a good name, is more value than material luxury. Your name can be at the top today, early in the morning, and by evening, it can be trampled on. A good reputation is more valuable. And then it says, attending funerals offers, more wisdom than parties, because death prompts reflection on how brief life can be. Sorrow refines the heart, while laughter can be superficial. Verses 7 through 10 gives us warnings about corruption and impatience. Impatience. We don't go and seek after corruption intentionally, but let me tell you, impatience can be a part of our lives on a daily basis if we do not exercise wisdom. Patience and humility, the writer says, are better than pride and anger. And this one really struck me. Longing for the good old days reflects a lack of wisdom. Have I been longing for the good old days? Occasionally I do. Occasionally I do. But the writer says, because every generation has challenges. Even in the good old days that we reminisce about and talk to our friends about, there were challenges. But somehow we tend to forget the challenges and focus on the good of the good old days. But wisdom reminds us that every generation has challenges. Verses 11 through 14 tells us that we should use wisdom as our safeguard. Wisdom is as valuable as an inheritance. It protects and it guides. We tend to think that inheritance is all material things, but there is so much more to an inheritance than the material things that one receives from another. But wisdom is as valuable as inheritance. And God made both prosperity and adversity. We talked about that yesterday. Humans must accept both seasons of prosperity and adversity, accepted with humility. Wow, that's a whole lesson within itself. Verses 15 through 22 showed us that moderation and human sinfulness. There is moderation and there is human sinfulness. Listen, all of us who have lived understand that life is sometimes unpredictable. Life is just unpredictable. Sometimes the righteous die young and we wonder why, and the wicked live a long time and we wonder why. But we must accept the unpredictables of life. Why? Because God's in charge. The teacher warns us against the extremes, being overly righteous, self-righteous. Have you seen self-righteous people? Do you know any? Or overly wicked people. They're reckless. They're reckless in their talk. They're reckless in their actions. And this is a reality that everyone sins. So don't be surprised when others wrong you, because everyone sins. And remember, you also have spoken harshly at times yourself about others. And finally, verses 23 through 25 say that there are limits of wisdom. There are limits of wisdom. And the teacher, the preacher, the writer of this passage of scripture admitted that wisdom is elusive. No one can fully understand God's ways. The pursuit of wisdom is worthwhile, but human understanding is always limited. Now, our theme is learning from biblical teachings. What can we learn from this passage of scripture? One, character outlasts comfort. Character outlasts comfort. A good name is more enduring than wealth or indulgence. Got to go fast. We can also learn that reflection builds wisdom. Now, hardship and sorrow shape character. I know we don't want to hear that because we don't want to feel it and we don't want to go through it. But it is a reality that hardship and sorrow shape character more deeply than any pleasure that you could have. Balance is a key. That's a lesson. Extremes in self righteousness or sinfulness are dangerous. Humility and balance leads to stability. We can also learn life's seasons are God ordained. Both the good and the bad come from God, and we learn dependence in both. Oh, I'm past time. And the next one is human understanding is limited. We must accept that we cannot explain everything, which fosters trust in God. We got to trust Him. And finally, universal sameness. Everyone fails. Grace and forgiveness are necessary in human relationships. This is such a power packed theme that we are working on for the month of September, learning from biblical teachings. I pray that these words bless you today, and let me challenge you to pray your way through the day, walk with the King, and be a blessing. We'll see you tomorrow, Missionary Heart.